My name is Chapter1, also known as Haurensis, and I started out with game development in 1999 by modding the original Unreal. From Unreal I moved on to modding an tournament. I created 24 standalone levels for that game, as well as several of its biggest mods, Excedia and Operation Apali. In 2003 it was that work that got me into the games industry. I started out with a small job for Streamline Studios, after which I was contracted by Epic Games to work on Anno Tournament 2004 as a level designer. I made 7 of the official levels, including the 2 demo levels Tolan and Rankin. After that contract, I was hired by Guerrilla Games and I worked on Shellshock NAM 67 for a year, and a bit on the first Killzone. I then moved on to Kaon Games, where I worked on the big Unreal Engine 2 MMORPG, The Chronicles of Spellborn, while in the meantime I wrote my 2 books, and I took on contracts for Digital Extreme, on the Unreal Engine 2 shooter Warpath, and for WebSen on the Unreal Engine 3 game Huxley. After all that, I was employed by Starbreeze, and I worked on Syndicate for a while, followed by the startup of my own company Theodol Studios. At Theodol Studios, I directed and I worked on our Unreal Engine 3 game The Ball and the UDK game Unmechanical. While working for my own studio, I also took on a contract for Plastic Piranha, as well as for several other smaller clients. Plus all of that aside, I'm also responsible for large bits of Sweden's prime game development indication Future Games nowadays. I wrote my first tutorial sometime around 2002, and have over the years built out my website haurensis.com into a tutorial and training focused site. Welcome to this asset development training video, first part. And in this video, we're going to go over following topics. We'll go over basic modeling. We'll set up a simple desert scene, which is the one you're seeing here. It's a very simple scene. There's actually quite little going on. It's not that visually impressive, but the reason why I picked these subjects, in particularly the road, we're going to make a modular road system. This is made of different meshes. The reason why I picked these subjects is because they actually demonstrate every one of these things, and they're very easy to make. So it allows the video to be followed by a wider number of people. So they both fit all the requirements, and they're easy to do for everyone, regardless of your skill. Because this is a very, very simple model. You can see it's a very low poly, so anyone can model this and follow the video. So we're making this scene in this video and everything that comes along with it. This video was developed together with part 2. So this is the second part. And part 2 really continues on everything that part 1 starts. So the whole reasoning with this asset development series is to make you production ready. A lot of these things that I go over here in these videos, I'm sure you can find that in a lot of different tutorials. I'm sure you can find it all over the internet. I'm sure you can find all over the internet how to make collision, for example, in Unreal. But what I try to do is combine all of those different parts. Really give you a complete overview over the entire process and a very detailed overview of the process. Not just how you make collision, but every type of collision there is and when you want to use which type. And I will show you examples when I'm doing this stuff. When I use which type of collision, for example. I will show you things like light map gridding, which no one else covers as far as I know. I've never seen this anywhere else, but which is actually really important. We'll go over vertex normals, which is not that super well known still. And I will show you 2 real life examples, both on the road. The road has edited vertex normals and the foliage, which is very simple by the way again. It's just a cross, but the foliage has vertex normals as well. So even while this is a very simple scene, it does cover a lot of different topics. And there's a lot more behind what you're seeing here than just making a couple of simple models. And that's the whole point with the video. The point is it will make you production ready and not just able to import an asset. That you can learn anywhere, but being production ready and being able to understand the process that's going on and knowing of all the properties and everything that really has an impact, that's what I'm trying to do here. So back to the schedule, I'll give you a very quick overview. We'll start very simple, and since presumably everyone who's watching this video already has some kind of knowledge in this, and you should have as well, you should have some base amount of knowledge in UDK, in 3D Studio Max, Maya, etc. But I'll do the basics very fast, just to be complete. And then we'll move on to making some basic modular meshes, like the road. And then once we have a couple of basic meshes to work with, then we can move on to topics like how do you set up the collision, how do you do light mapping, look at the vertex normals as well, and then we can move on to a bit more technical stuff, the impact of vertex counts. We can do some mesh loading. Then we have a lot more technical stuff, how to go back and forth from the editor to your 3D package, general package organization that I usually use, and understanding the rendering process, how Unreal is actually rendering your models, because that has an impact on how you're making them. And then from there on, then we're pretty much done with the 3D part. This is the whole 3D part. Then we can move on to the material part. So we'll go over the basic concept of the material editor, the most common expressions, and we'll set up the most basic diffuse vector normal map material. I'm sure this is what most people already know, but then we can take it a step further and go to some more examples and more detailed things. It's really part 2 that really continues on the material part. So the second video is really totally focused on the materials, and it's totally focused on texture optimization as well. So we have heavy stuff in here. This is quite advanced stuff. And then it's all about setting up the character in the second video. So either way, in this video we go over all the 3D, all the stuff that is important for 3D, and we will do an introduction to the material editor. Okay, so let's start with a basic setup. I'm using 3D Studio Max, but pretty much everything I'm about to say also goes for Maya, or for Modo if you wish. So all of this is pretty much universal. I'm also not going to go too deep into 3D Studio Max. I'll do it quite quickly, all the modeling. This is not a modeling tutorial. It's really focused on Unreal. So we'll go through it pretty fast, but I will start with the basic setup.